This episode brought to you by Nicholson Realty 2.0, the Gas City Performing Arts Center, Chuck Sewer, Drain and Plumbing.
Let's go.
Welcome to Garage Talk. Today, we have the front man for not just your regular cover band. Oh, no. They are a full-blown theatrical rock experience. I know. I was a witness. I was there May 30th, 2025 of last year in Gas City, Indiana at the Gas City Performing Arts Center. And they took everyone's balls to the wall. We've got the front man, Dave Moody. How we doing, Dave?
Doing good, man. I'm on a little bit of a break, which is awesome. We just got done doing 60 days in a row out on the road. So to be home and get to see my family and pet my dogs and just do normal stuff is pretty awesome.
That's awesome, man. I got to walk my dog this morning. It's a beautiful day here in Gas City.
It really is, yeah.
Yes. So we got to hear the origin story of Dave Moody.
Oh, well, I mean, I was born.
I love it. Me too. Me too.
Well, I mean, it would take the whole show to do that, but let's just say that I was infected with rock and roll at a very young age, and the idea of rock and roll and to play music for a living has always been in my DNA. And my family comes from a music background, and I'm a hillbilly, so I come from the Appalachia part of Kentucky, and so my whole family grew up musical, and we all love music. But the thing that got me the most when I was a young kid growing up, the album that got me into rock and roll was Kiss Destroyer when it was delivered on our doorstep one day back in 1976. And it infected me in a way that I cannot even properly expound upon, because it was like a lightning bolt hit me. And I went from there. I told everybody that would listen that I was going to play music for a living, and it was kind of cute until it wasn't, until it was time to get a job and go do real, adult things. But I told them, this is what I'm going to do, and fortunately for me, it all worked out. I've been playing professionally now for close to 40 years, touring the world in varying degrees with different things, everything from an AC/DC tribute that, was the biggest one in the world, to Billy Ray Cyrus, the international superstar. I played bass for him for 10 years. And original outfits that were on the cusp of being signed by people like Gene Simmons himself and things of that nature. And also with, now with Hairball, and being able to do this on this level. So it's been a remarkable journey. God is good. I've been blessed. I'm thankful. And I would do nothing differently. It's all been very good.
Yeah. So you spoke on some of your one of your musical influences, which is Kiss. And I think Kiss was a lot of people's introduction to rock. Fortunately, I was raised by my grandmother, and she played a lot of Elvis Presley, a ton. And I don't know if Elvis originally said this, but he did say it in one of his songs. The world's a stage, and everyone's got to play their part. How do you get into that performer side of each different act that you go out on stage? Because you do Twisted Sister, correct? Kiss, of course. And AC/DC.
Yep.
How do you? They're varying degrees of high energy. How do you get like in that mindset of this is the kind of energy that they bring? How does that work?
Well, I believe that it was Shakespeare that said that, although Elvis is.
You're right.
Elvis is pretty awesome too. Elvis, Shakespeare, about the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's not hard for me to get into those mindsets because I grew up with these guys. I like to tell people all the time that I wasn't raised on Sesame Street or Mr. Rogers or Big Bird or anything like that. I was raised by Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, Ace Frehley, and Peter Criss. I was raised by Alice Cooper. I was raised by Dee Snider. I was raised by AC/DC. I was raised by, name it, Freddie Mercury, Motley Crue. I was raised by all these people. So these videos, these songs, these performances, these live shots, everything about these people have been ingrained in my life from the very beginning. So as the kids would say, it's an OG, kind of thing that I've got in me. I grew up with that. And so it's not a far step for me to know their mannerisms, their attitudes, the way that they approached it. What is impressive about it all is when you put on the makeup, when you put on the costume, when you do their performance, you see how much effort, time, and just total love for their craft that they had. And it's awesome. It's like, my goodness, that is so cool that they came up with this out of thin air, and that they just totally invented something that will last forever, way past their lifespan. It will last forever, and it'll belong to generations. So for me to do them characters, um, it's second nature because I grew up watching it, and they're in my DNA.
You get in those boots, man, and I gotta say, I'm 5'7". I'm afraid of heights.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I see
Sure.
you walk out there, and my first thought is how your balance, and then I start wondering things like, because you guys go balls to the wall from start to finish, how do you get all that energy? Where does that stamina come from? What does that look like for Dave Moody?
Well, I will tell you this. You're not going to do this job unless you pay attention to your body, unless you pay attention to your physical regimen, your dietary intake, things that you need to do. We're not out here drinking alcohol. We're not out here doing drugs. We're not out here. We're literally a bunch of middle-aged men. I know I look great. I know, but but uh, it literally it comes down to being responsible for your physical fitness, being responsible for everybody else. When you come to the show, you want those costumes to look good on the person. You want them to look as you remembered them. So we hold ourselves to a very high standard, as we should, because we're presenting this to people, and hopefully making them suspend disbelief, and live in the spirit world of these characters and go, man, I know that's not him, but my God, is that just so
Yeah.
close. And that's what we try to do. So it's a big responsibility. You got to take care of yourself. You got to make sure that you're doing all the right things. And more importantly, it's respectful not only to yourself, but to your bandmates and the audience.
Dave, when I went to that concert at the Gas City Performing Arts Center, I brought along my 21-year-old daughter and my 15-year-old daughter. And because I wanted them to see, I want them to experience and have an open mind when it comes to music, whether they're listening to bluegrass, to country, to hip hop, but everything comes full circle. There's going to come a time in your life where I grew up in the 90s. The 90s were my teenage years, and I listened to a lot of hip hop. But rock and roll has always been the center. And there is nothing like waking up at 6 in the morning and coming into the living room with a hot cup of coffee and hearing my daughter getting ready for school, and she's playing Love Gun. That, I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It's become generational at this point. Our show has become, and I hope your daughter enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
Um, it's
You got
it's
the
it's
T-shirt.
yeah. Yeah, it's become generational at this point. Again, we are the, curators of the greatest history and the greatest time in rock and roll, and we take it very seriously. So, whenever we look out and we see grandfathers, sons, and grandsons, and grandmothers, and daughters, and granddaughters, and we see that big swath of generational attendance, it's not lost on us. I like to say it's everybody just getting their teeth and everybody starting to lose them. So it's everybody in
Yeah.
between. So we're really, really, really happy when we look out and we see families come out to our show because they're passing this stuff along to their kids. This is going to live forever. One day it's going to get to the point to where I'm going to have to leave the band and some young kid is going to come in and take my spot, and that's okay. My thing is to keep it going at the highest level for as long as possible. So one day I'm out in the crowd and I've got my fist raised up and I'm going, yeah, man, this is so cool. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It is. And I love that my daughters, we have a very close relationship, and music has been a part of our lives, whether, and we have different soundtracks for different times. So if I'm grilling, I'm listening to Aerosmith. I listen to their greatest hits when I'm grilling. If I'm sitting by the fire having a cold beer, it's Tom Petty or Bob Seger.
Mhm.
What are your soundtracks? What's the soundtrack to Dave Moody's life?
Well, I have a very wide palette. I can
Okay.
tell you that right now. It kind of drives the band nuts because I'm all over the place. I can literally listen to anything and find the intensity. One minute you'll hear me listening to Slayer, the next minute you'll hear me listening to Frank Sinatra. One minute you hear me listening to Willie Nelson, the next minute you hear me listening to Pavarotti. One minute you're hearing me listen to, I don't know, just I love you know uh, Curtis Blow. I love
Yeah.
I love I love you know oh my goodness, Casey and the Sunshine Band. I love um, who is it? Cool and the Gang. I mean, I just love everything. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
just a big fan of music, and if it has intensity and it has the ability to move me, and I can find that intensity in that music, then I'm gonna love it. And it's gonna there's a reason why it's on the radio, and there's a reason why it's great. So I need to find that reason, and normally I can because I go, oh, I hear that, I know, I understand that. That's cool. That's really really cool, and that's a blessing because I'm not pigeonholing myself because my mind goes like this.
Yes.
It's not this. It's not a small circle.
Mhm.
Let me that's happy. Dude. Um, but it's not it's a big palette, and I'm happy for that. I'm happy that I had the ability um, to do that because I would be. I think it would be awful just to have one genre of music that you
Mhm.
love. I encourage everybody to actively listen to stuff that was great. Go back and listen to Willie Nelson. Go back and listen to, Tom Petty. Go back and listen to Casey and the Sunshine Band. Go back and listen to Frank Sinatra. Go back and listen to all of this stuff and find the reasons why these things were so great. But some people can't get past what they just don't like. I
Yeah.
understand that. I don't like seafood, so there's that.
You don't like shrimp? You don't like shrimp
No.
cocktail?
Oh
No.
no. No, you can have all the bugs you want, bro. Go right ahead.
I do love shrimp. So when you look at music, what is classic rock? Is classic rock a time period? Or is it like, how cars become, you can say that car's vintage. An 89 Trans Am is now vintage.
Mhm.
Is Nirvana considered classic rock now? Or is it
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if it's like 25 years old, of course, it's classic rock. Yeah. Um, and God bless Nirvana. I mean, I love Nirvana.
Yeah.
I've really found an affinity for some 90s stuff that we were mad about back in the day
Mm-hmm.
because they killed our thing, you know. But it needed to go. It was like it was time. I was like, it's been played. And then Nirvana came along and did what they did. And so I've, initially uh when all of that stuff came out, I was not a big fan of it. But as I've gotten older, I was just listening to Super Unknown the other day
Oh my
by
gosh.
Soundgarden. I was like, oh my God. I mean, how did I miss this? How did I miss how great this was and how great Chris Cornell was and how great Alice in Chains was and how great Nirvana was and on and on and on and on. But yes, 100% it is classic rock. And it was a music of a generation. It was the music of a whole group of people, a world, a nation of people. And to me, yeah, 100%.
Music's like fashion to me. It comes in style, goes out of style, and comes back in. And I'm seeing a resurgence of rock. Hip hop had its period where it was real big, but I'm seeing a resurgence of rock, and I I'm excited about it. I do miss music videos. Um, I'll plug Pluto. I'll put Pluto on and watch music videos while we're cleaning the house. But the resurgence of rock it's coming full circle again, I think. And me and my friends have this debate on what classic rock is now, and it it is Nirvana. The grunge period is classic rock to me.
Absolutely, 100%. But then here's the crazy part.
Okay.
What's after that? What's after that? Because there really, really, really is nothing. It's like um, because that's when all the gatekeepers came down. That's when anybody could release music. That's when the radio started going away. That's when all of a sudden, so classic rock's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know what is after that. I don't know because, and I've heard a few bands here and there, but nothing that was a life staple moment like you're out at the lake with your family one summer and this album comes on and this album is released and dropped and then it becomes oh, you remember when we was at the lake and that song was
Yeah.
on and then it's associated to good memories. I don't hear that today. I don't hear, I'm not saying it's not there
Hmm.
or I'm not actively seeking it or what it may be. I'm hopeful. I think that rock's in a good spot. I think that there are a bunch of young bands. I think that there's a lot of stuff, and maybe I need to do a little bit more, uh, like I'm saying, be a little bit more active. But at the same time, it does concern me because, but I see young bands. It's 10 times harder than it was when we was growing up, and it was hard then to try to do what we did. Uh, but man, God bless them. I'm
Yeah.
rooting for them. I'm over here going, you could do it. You could do it. You could do it.
Yeah.
I'm just keep plowing, man. Keep plowing. I'm all about the rock.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, going back to the other, I'm wanting to say a week ago, I got up and hearing my daughter play the Smiths, and it just what she does is she hears the music I'm playing, and then she looks it up, and then she listens to it, and
She
then
has the mentality and the ability to go and listen, and she's at that age where she's inquisitive and wants to know more.
yeah,
And that's awesome.
yeah,
That's a wonderful place to be. I was the same way when I was a kid.
15 years old. It's music.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's
The
the
doors
age.
are open.
You soak it in so hard, and you
Yeah.
remember when a song comes on and you're pushing 50, and you're like, man,
Yep.
that was July 19th. I was 16 years old. I was with this
Mhm.
girl, and
Yep.
yeah, we were cruising. You
Yep.
just it brings you back.
Yep.
So let's switch gears here, man, if you don't mind. I'm a ginormous
Yeah. I got a few more minutes.
Okay, I'm a ginormous Colts fan.
Okay.
Today's draft day, and I see your
It is.
Steelers are at 21st, and they're
Mhm.
looking at a possible outside tackle.
Uh-huh.
Who do you think they're going to pick? You think they're going to pick an outside tackler, or do you think
Well,
somebody else?
I'll tell you this. My thought is this: we set ourselves up so well in free agency
Mm-hmm.
that we don't have to go reach for anything. Now, we got Pittman, which was a great pickup.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
There you go. You're welcome.
Great pickup. Because you all signed Pierce, right?
Yeah.
So that left Pittman, exposed. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and I know you all love him, which is great. He's kind of like
Yeah.
your all's Hines Ward, and
Yeah.
Hines Ward's my favorite all-time player, all-time Steeler. But what I would think, you know, a great receiver, be it Amari Cooper, be it they're not going to get Lemon. They might get Boston. You got a couple cornerbacks that would be great. You got, receiver, cornerback, or offensive line. You can never go wrong with the trenches. If they got the kid from Penn State, that would be just fine with me. I would take that. I would take a great receiver. Either way, we've got enough capital to move up to get what we want in the second round. We could pair a few things together. We got 3 third-round picks. We got 12 overall. So we could take a third and a fifth and throw it together and move up in the second and get the receiver we really want. So we're not really hurting too awful bad. I think it's going to be a really
Mm-hmm.
good draft. I think we're probably going to get 6 picks out of the whole 12 that we had because we're going to couple some things together. We might get 7, but we're not going to get 12. We're not going to use all 12. There's no reason for that. So I think that we're going to get. I think it's going to be probably, if he's available, the kid from Penn State or Omari Cooper. And if not him, they make a splash and move up and get Lemon if he's there.
Oh
If
man.
not that, and you just open a hook. I know my shit on this stuff. So,
Yeah.
so then if they don't do that, then they'll go into the second round and they'll flip it with whatever they decided to do. So if they got a lineman, they'll get a receiver in the second round. If they got a receiver, they'll get a lineman. And that kid from Iowa or that kid from Georgia Tech,
Ooh.
who are the linemen, would be
Yeah.
great. And then I think in the third rounds, we'll have 2 third-round picks. And I think that one of them will either be Nussmeier or Aller from Penn State, the quarterbacks. I think Simpson goes probably to the Cardinals at the beginning of the second round, maybe the end of the first.
The Colts don't pick until I think 47.
Yeah,
I'm going
they
to
give
the
up.
draft party tonight for the Indianapolis Colts.
Well, good deal. Yeah. So I don't know, buddy. I think we do. I think we do. This is what I think we draft in no particular order: offensive line, wide receiver, cornerback, maybe a safety, and a quarterback. And
Mhm.
maybe another receiver. So I think you get 2 receivers, a quarterback, a safety, and an offensive lineman. And if we get that, home run. That's a good. And I love McCarthy. I know there was a lot of belly aching about it, but
Mhm.
nobody loves Pittsburgh more than him. He's from 5 minutes away from the stadium. He's a Pittsburgh born and bred guy. He gets it. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. Yeah, he's long in the tooth, but that don't mean he can't coach. Um,
The
and
game hasn't passed him by.
and
Yeah.
no, hell no. He went 12-5 3 years in a row with
Yeah.
Dallas. I mean, he just didn't win a playoff game, but um, so yeah, I'm happy with McCarthy. And if Aaron decides to come back, great. If he doesn't, that's fine too. I want to see what we got in Will Howard or the quarterback that we draft. I want to just throw the ball out there and let them fight it out. But I'm excited. I just love football so much, and it's my getaway of everything.
I can't wait for me and my friends can't wait for football to start. So we just went ahead and bought tickets for some arena league. We have a Fisher's Freight in Indianapolis. We're gonna go see. We're playing Green Bay. the Green Bay team. So this will be our first
Right.
experience. But I want to say thank you so much for your time. I wish we had more time to talk football because we could clearly have some fun with this.
Yeah. I could talk football all day.
Yeah,
Maybe next time. Maybe next time. But
the
and thank you for having me,
yeah.
and thanks for coming to the show, and keep on coming out, man. We appreciate it.
Before I let you go, though, Dave, I've got a message for you from Kat Mang and Kelly Miller, the venue managers. They want you back. They
Yeah,
want Hairball back.
we'll be back. I promise you, we'll be back. That was a lot of
Awesome,
fun.
awesome, man.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
Sweet. Thank you so much for your time. You have a great day.
Thank you, brother. God
Yep.
bless.
God bless.